Eminent domain reform took a huge step forward this week. Senate Bill 18 by Senator Craig Estes passed the Senate State Affairs Committee. Senator Estes, Senator Glenn Hager, and Senator Robert Duncan worked very hard to hammer out a bill that gives real protections to property owners. We appreciate their hard work, and I would encourage everyone interested in this issue to thank them for their efforts. Senate Bill 18 has the key provisions we need: public use provisions, good faith provisions, and adequate compensation provisions. Combining those with better notice to property owners, payment for relocation expenses, and that this bill applies to non-governmental entities as well as governmental entities makes this bill even stronger than House Bill 2006 from last session. Our work is not yet done. We anticipate moving the bill soon out of the Senate. Once it arrives at the House, we must work quickly to get it out of committee and onto the House floor. Stay tuned for future developments and be watching for CapWiz alerts. Your help is crucial to ultimately pass this legislation so it becomes the law in Texas.
On Tuesday, President Durski was able to come down and provide testimony to the House Transportation Committee on HB 11. This is Representative Leibowitz's Trans-Texas Corridor Repeal Bill. We were fortunate enough that the President's schedule could accommodate this, and the Transportation Committee was very, very excited to see him, instead of just me, explaining to them why it's important to Farm Bureau that the Trans-Texas Corridor be repealed. I also want to highlight SB 1019, which is the Senate version of the TxDOT Sunset Bill authored by Senator Hager. This was heard also this week in the committee, and Farm Bureau went to provide the members with the perspective of Farm Bureau and which of the components we support and what we might think could happen before it's all said and done. Lastly, I want to highlight a meeting that took place between President Durski, myself, and Transportation Commissioner Ted Houghton from El Paso. We met to thank the Commissioner for his instrumental role in naming Texas Farm Bureau members as mandatory members on each of the 9 segment committees around the state. These segment committees are along the Interstate 35 and Interstate 69 corridors and are the body that comes up with what the plan will be for new construction projects. It's very important that Farm Bureau members are involved in this process from the beginning of the development stages.
Air quality is a really big issue in the state of Texas. We have 2 large non-attainment areas, obviously, in Dallas and Houston, and the city of San Antonio and the Austin area are right on the cusp of becoming non-attainment areas. So we've seen literally hundreds of bills filed this session dealing with air quality. And so far, none of them have really affected agriculture. But there was a bill heard in the House Environmental Regulation Committee which would affect agriculture producers in the state of Texas, and that's House Bill 3374 by Representative Joe Deschantel. Now, Representative Deschantel isn't targeting agriculture, but his bill deals with stationary natural gas engines. And I doubt that Representative Deschantel realizes that a lot of the engines that agricultural irrigators use in the state of Texas run off of natural gas. Now, under his bill, if you have one of these engines, you would have to actually get a permit from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality and then follow their guidelines on the emissions that your engine could produce into the air. On another note, a bill that Texas Agriculture does support passed the Texas House this week, House Bill 1965 by Representative Drew Darby. We've had a problem in some areas in Texas where wildlife, particularly white-tailed deer, are destroying crops. What House Bill 1965 does is it streamlines the process to where agricultural producers can get a permit from Parks and Wildlife to prevent this wildlife from destroying their crops. And it's very important because the current program is very burdensome and it just really doesn't work for ag producers.
Senator Estes passed Senate Bill 1666 out of the Senate this week. That bill would establish a Bioenergy Policy Council and a Bioenergy Research Committee. Those entities would be made up of individuals from government, from universities, research, agriculture, and other industries. And the overall goal would be to more sharply focus the state's policies and their research efforts on the bioenergy field, making sure that the policies that we have in place as a state are effective in promoting the development of those resources, and then making sure also that the research that's being done at the various places is attuned to that and clearly focused on the cutting edge of of bioenergy in the United States.